Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Search Engine Land Awards presentations. We're going to be interviewing a couple of our top winners today. These are folks that have claimed the mantle of Agency of the Year, and we're very grateful for our sponsor, Microsoft. Whose name you see emblazoned on my wall back here. Microsoft has sponsored this program of awarding recognizable, significant achievements on the behalf of paid search and SEO professionals throughout our industry. And so today we've got two guys, SEO and SEM Agencies of the Year, and we're going to take about 20, 30 minutes and have a conversation about, what is it, what makes an agency stand out? What sort of success factors do they take into account, and what do they do that keeps them ahead of their game? And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of our winners, both of our winners, to introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about your company. How many employees you've got, maybe locations, anything that you might want to tell us to let us get a feel for your agency. So, Adam, how about you start us off?
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate the introduction. My name is Adam Heitzman. I'm the co-founder and managing partner at Higher Visibility. We've been in business since 2009. We actually started the business right after the economic downturn, which is always a great time to start a new business. We now have grown, have about 67 full-time employees, 4 part-time employees, and yeah, I mean, we're a full-service digital agency, but kind of our bread and butter, what we're most widely recognized for is SEO, and we were lucky enough to be recognized this year as the Agency of the Year for SEO. Our goal really is to try to understand our clients' businesses, what keeps them up at night, so that we can develop customized strategy that meets the specific needs of their particular business. So, we've worked with hundreds of companies, from small businesses to Fortune 1000. And so, we understand pain points of different businesses. And so, we're not the right fit for every business, but we do a really good job of trying to understand the client's pain points and issues, and see if we're a right fit to be to form a partnership, because it has to work on both sides. And so we try not to use the word client agency relationship. We're looking at this more as of a partnership. And so both the agency and the client have to be kind of on the same level to make this really ultimately work. And so that's one way in which we feel we kind of set ourselves up for success.
And where are you zooming in from today? Where are you coming in today?
We are based in Memphis, Tennessee. We have one location in Memphis, Tennessee. Traditionally, everybody would be primarily in our office. We do have a few that are remote, but for the most part, most are in the Memphis, Tennessee area.
Well, these days you could run your agency from the dark side of the moon, I think. It doesn't matter where anymore, right? We've learned that lesson.
We have learned that lesson.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, we'll look forward to talking about maybe, some of the strengths of your approach, some of the specific things you do in your partnership approach. That's really, really great. I like that philosophy. But let's give David a chance to kind of weigh in, and congratulations on your Agency of the Year win. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Matt. I am David Dweck. I am W Promote's VP of Paid Media. I oversee all of our paid media channels. Spent the last year overseeing our paid search department. So W Promote is an agency that's around 500 large. We have offices in New York, Dallas, Chicago, and our headquarters in LA. And thanks to COVID, we were able to expand from those 4 locations to 500, where that was definitely the upside, just massive expansion. And what really differentiates us as an agency is definitely our ethos of being a challenger agency and instilling a challenger mentality with our clients and with our teams. So that really gives us the ability to push our clients and ensure that when we're bringing them on, it's all through through a strong partnership and a grounded understanding that we're going to bring our best practices and our expertise to market on behalf of our clients. I'd say more focused in on paid search. It's definitely our bread and butter as an agency. Our paid search team is probably one of the largest in the country. It's 75 long now. I think that scale really gives us the ability to do a bunch of things, one of which is really learn a ton across different industries and verticals. So we have really taken the last year and combined best practices and made sure that those are standard across our clients. And then similar to Adam and Higher Visibility, Promote's ethos is also a strong partnership with clients. So our goals are usually grounded in a client's business objective, not their marketing KPIs. So yeah, that's definitely our ethos and definitely what's been instilled in our team. And I think a lot of those partnerships this year really helped drive us to this award and to where we're standing today.
Well, that's terrific. So, two, good sized agencies. That's really interesting because I know a lot of folks in this industry are microscopic agencies. They might be anywhere from 2 to 12 people, and they have a real specific industry focus. And so, Adam, you mentioned that you take partnerships. Are there particular industries that you specialize in, and I'm just curious about if you could tell us maybe a little bit about a particular success in one of those industries, and I may interrupt you just to get some details, but tell us a little bit about the types of markets and clients you've got, and some of the what you've done to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that we specialize in any one particular vertical or niche. We have businesses of all shapes and sizes.
Okay.
Like I said, ranging from a small business like a dentist, lawyer, all the way up to a Fortune 1000. And so it's wide ranging from that standpoint. And so, I think one of the things that we do on the front end, particularly on when we've yet to begin that client agency relationship and we're kind of in the sales process, a key component of our process is really kind of just having a really good dialogue and in-depth kind of questionnaire to kind of really figure out, like, are we really the best fit for you? I mean, at the end of the day, we're all about retaining and retention from a client perspective. We want to make sure that what we do matches kind of what your expectations are, because having been in the agency world now since 2009, one of the things that I think we learned early on was that managing expectations, right? Every business, every single individual has different expectations on what they're really trying to achieve. And I think one of the things that often gets looked at, particularly on the SEO side, like I'm sure David will speak to the paid search side as well. But on the SEO side, like one of the common things, like especially when we're dealing with a small business, one of the first things that comes up is, yeah, I want to increase in rankings. Well, that's great. We all want that, but that's not the end goal. That's not why you're truly coming to us.
Yeah.
What is the root reason you're coming to us? Is it, do you need more leads? Do you need more phone calls? Do you need more sales? What is that root problem that we're trying to solve? So trying to get to that point and understand once we kind of get that dialogue and get it out of them, then we can actually develop a strategy and put something together to help them achieve their goals.
I'm just curious, when you're talking about the pre-sales environment, when you're both evaluating each other, really, what are some danger signs from an agency standpoint when you hear or you have some interactions? How do you know when things aren't going to be a fit? Or what are some signals that kind of indicate, hey, caution ahead, or let's give this a little deeper look here?
Well, again, I could speak more to the SEO side of things.
Sure.
And, in terms of SEO, I think some of the key wins are, first off, what are their expectations? If they do have an expectation, how realistic is it? Right. We all know that, SEO is not an overnight success type of thing.
Right.
And so, if they have an unrealistic expectation that can't be achieved in the time frame that they're thinking, then obviously that's something that we want to make sure that we're addressing early on before the partnership even takes off, so that we can have that dialogue. The second thing that I would think is really just, what does the budget look like? That's another factor. Like, does the budget correlate with what their expectations are? Right. If it doesn't, then again, that's another conversation that has to be had. It doesn't mean that we may not be able to work with them. It just means that the time frame might be more extended than what they would otherwise, like it to be. And so I think those are some of the key things that we look at more than anything. I'm sure there's many more that will come to mind here in a few minutes, but those are the two big ones I think that come to mind immediately.
Well, I would, David, I'd ask the same thing. Tell us a little bit about, that same sort of area.
Yeah. So for the sales process from a paid search perspective, we definitely vet hard and also do our due diligence in terms of doing audits. And there's definitely situations where, it's not a fit for a number of reasons. If it's a vertical that we're not specialized in, or if it's an account that, like, frankly, we're not going to add a ton of value on, we'll I think, choose that direction as well. I think it's, to Adam's point, extremely important to choose the right type of partnership and clients. And we've done a really good job, I think, on both ends of not just saying yes to any dollar that's coming to us. So there's that. And I'd say, like, in terms of like lookouts or things that might be red flags in the process, to answer your question more directly, I'd say just a lack of, if a client's potential client is showing pushback on new ideas or like not seeing the value in some of the things we're recommending, I'd say it's a relative red flag. We're not going to go forward with recommendations just to take money from clients. But I think if we're recommending something that's grounded in data, or grounded in what we think their business needs, or grounded in our expertise in their industry, and there's pushback, I think it's a relative red flag. And we want to make sure that we're having an open conversation around why we're relatively fervent around a recommendation, and making sure that it's a good fit on that. And so I'd say, like, openness to change and ability to have an open conversation or lack of pushback on some of our ideas.
How often do you talk with your clients or meet with your clients? I mean, there's always the natural, end of month or end of quarter type things where you report on, what you did or didn't do. But tell us a bit about how you keep the connections nice and stable.
It varies for sure, client to client. I'm never really talking to them unless there's a problem. So that's hopefully not during the pitch.
So you don't want to talk to any clients if that means that there's some big problem.
Yeah, I mean, ideally I talk to them on the way in, and then when they're referring some business to us. But our teams are talking to clients at varying intervals. There's teams that are talking to our clients hourly via Slack, via email.
Oh, Slack. Okay, good.
Those that are, I think a bit more standardized in a bi-weekly or monthly reporting cadence, but ultimately it's all going to come down to what the client needs and level of service we need to provide to make sure that they're getting the information they need in terms of the performance we're driving or the direction we're going, and that, or that we're not talking too often that it's useless or there aren't insights to discuss. So it definitely varies based on their structure and needs, but we create bespoke agreements and service agreements for clients all the time, because that really is the best approach.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of like what Adam was saying too, just managing the expectations for amount of time that you're going to dedicate to them. I recall back early in our agency's life where there was a guy that would, number one, he always hated it when his competitors were showing up above him. Well, who doesn't? But he would call and talk about it 3 and 4 times a day. It's like, hey, I've got other clients here, and I love you to death. And we're happy to help you, but we're going to have to triple our rates if you're going to, And so we did, and he didn't stick around too long. But that's all right. It's an economic issue. But hey, so there's working with clients, but as with dozens of people and hundreds of people in your agencies, how do you keep your teams from burning out? Tell me a little bit about how you retain your employees. What are some of the things you look for to make sure that your best performers aren't kind of burning the candle at both ends? So whoever wants to weigh in first, just tell me a little bit about how you keep your human capital.
I don't mind jumping in there. I mean, I think that's definitely been a focus area of our going into this year,
especially this year. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say historically the industry has a lot of churn, and I think one of the things that was focused on going into 2021 was retention. So yeah, for that main reason, our entire business is people capital. We don't build products. Our people are our products. So making sure that they're happy and content is the number one job that I've had. So a couple of approaches there. Really, it's the first is making sure that I have an understanding and the agency has an understanding of what's going on the ground, what they need, and how we're operating. So one of our big changes, which I think helped us really show up well for this award, is making a shift to better service our clients. So we restructured our team to make sure that we had more support at the bottom and at the top, which really gave us the ability to free up our managers to be far more strategic than they had been before, and also have.
Tell us a little bit more about that. What do you mean when you add support?
So prior to 2020, we were operating very much with a single manager running an account and doing it soup to nuts. So strategy, activation, optimizations, reporting, pacing, and a lot of those, a lot of our very, very valuable employees shouldn't be taking time on things that are, minutiae or things that can be automated or done through somebody with a bit less experience or expertise. So, it was definitely giving some of our top people more support this year was a key factor in keeping them around. We've lost 3 out of 75 this year, which is a number I'm extremely proud of.
Wow, very good.
Yeah, I'd say that when COVID hit, we definitely felt a lull, or I think everyone was taken aback and in shock with what was going on in the world and the new working arrangements. And I think from my end, we preach some things within our team that are of the utmost importance, and they're really, it's trust, transparency, and respect with your teams. Really, it's about giving people autonomy to do their jobs well, giving them the support they need to make sure that they're not operating from a place of fear. So that's definitely helped. We had some engagement results come in where 100% of our search team said that they felt they had the autonomy to do their jobs and that their bosses had their best interests in mind. Which were it is very validating in terms of the approach, and it's definitely helped. So we've retained more people and clients as a result of that. And that's how to keep that engagement up during the pandemic. It's really just trying to do more of what we would have done in person. So for me, leading the team, I would have flown around the country and organically had conversations with everybody. That's really what allows me to be effective, is understanding what's going on at the ground floor. It's kind of like Sam Walton's principles with Walmart early on, was just knowing what every function in the company was doing and how he could help them. So that's very much how I like to operate. And I think in the absence of travel, just setting up one-on-ones, it's taken a lot of time with a large team, but making sure I had 30 minutes with every team member and documenting where their thoughts were, where their heads were at, what new ideas they might have, has really, I think, helped maintain that visibility and allowed us to be nimble and do things like no meeting Fridays, which are new due to the pandemic. We've kept hacking.
No meeting Fridays.
No meeting Fridays, yeah. So leave my team alone, let them do work. And then half-day Fridays, just things like that have helped due to trying to lift burnout and give the team more freedom and time. That's all grounded in communication and upwards and downwards transparency. So hopefully helpful.
Well, I think other agency owners that are listening in, they're dealing with the same issues as how do I keep, how do I know my folks are working okay? How do I know they're mentally okay? And how do we know what the client is being serviced? So is your job, David Packard had an expression. He called it MBWA. Are you familiar with that expression?
Not.
Management by walking around. Yeah. Of course, that was when you had big factories,
right.
But literally, as opposed to getting information filtered by sub-managers, managers, and directors, you would get down the floor and you get the straight scoop. And I think that's what you're doing is probably very, very, very much in that spirit. So, Adam, how about yourself? What are some of the concerns you've got, and how do you keep your folks working at high levels?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously this year is unlike any other year. We obviously, like any other business, we had to kind of shift some of our focuses, particularly because maybe unlike David, I don't know how many are in their office, but the majority of our staff was actually in our office. So it was a pretty major shift when everything happened for us to go completely virtual. I mean, the good thing is the fact that what we do can be done virtually. We just hadn't as a full-time offering, done all virtual. And so there is a level where, when you lose that capability or that that ability to where I could literally just walk in my office and talk and go talk to people. And same with other team members, right? You lose that that connection, right? And so, obviously that was something that we knew was important, and it was something that we recognized early on that we needed to be really diligent about keeping an open dialogue. And so, I mean, some of the ways in which we kind of do that, really, I mean, every single month we do a town hall with the entire company. We did it while it was in person, where we continue it when it's virtual. And so the town hall is really just an update every single month of what has happened this past month. What do we have moving forward? Are there any big announcements going on? We do employee of the month. We do a lot of different things that kind of just validate, kind of shout out wins that are happening within the company. Separately from that, every single month we do some form of employee engagement, whether that is a Learn at Lunch. We are pretty much doing monthly. We've been doing.
Well, tell me about that Learn at Lunch. Is that is it the same person, or do you have different people
every month? Yeah, so every month, so our HR goes through and initially throughout the year kind of surveys the different departments during our organization, figures out, are there certain areas or that others would find interest in learning more about. Outside of that, it's even, for example, when the pandemic first started, right, we did one solely around mental health, right, and so we went and found a guest speaker to come in and talk specific about mental health, and we did an entire Zoom call around that type of component.
How was that received?
Really well. I mean, I think most people understand that. And so we do that on a monthly basis just to kind of, again, you're stuck in your home. For most of these individuals, you're stuck in your home and you lose that sense of, like I said, connectivity from a personal level. And so it's great that you can get out, you can go for a walk, and you can do all that stuff. And that's all stuff that we encourage. But at the same token, there is value in having the ability to communicate one-on-one and actually seeing that individual. And so that's what we try to do as much as we can. Even outside of that, we've done happy hours, like digital happy hours, where we had a couple of employees that used to be bartenders, and so they've come on and they've actually made special cocktails. They told us kind of what to have ahead of time. So we've done that. We've done virtual bingo. There's a lot of different things that we've done to try to just keep that. Even outside of that component, all management is, we make it really important, and it's a requirement that we're doing regular one-on-one meetings with our staff. Again, having that one-on-one dialogue just to address, not only from I think right now more than ever, it's like, just talking to them on a human level to say, hey, what is going on with you? There's a lot going on in the world, especially with the fact that we had an election, we're in a pandemic. A lot of people were struggling with different things. And, just talking to them on a human level, understanding what they're struggling with, if at all, or what they need help with, and how can you be a helping hand or a listening ear, whatever that might be, I think goes a long way. And so those are all different methods that we've kind of employed, and we've kind of shifted on a dime. Those are things that we're doing anyway, but we kind of shifted everything to go virtual now that the pandemic has occurred. So yeah, it's about just building that. We try to keep. Obviously we don't have the size that David has, but even at the size of that we are, we've always been a very big family atmosphere. We try to look at ourselves as one big family in some sorts. And so we can still kind of do that with the size that we're at. And so, doing some of these components and some of these things have allowed us to kind of continue that process. Yeah.
If you're one big family, I'd say you're the oldest brother. You're that guy that everyone looks to. So, hey, well, I can really see why your successful agencies, both of you, sort of talked about the same issue in two different approaches, but the main thing is you're very people centric, and you're very, very that's great management. So let's just change topics for a minute. We have maybe another 5-6 minutes or so. I'm just curious about, well, first of all, quick lightning round question. once these vaccines are out there and, the world is back to normal, you going back to your offices?
So I can speak at least real quick on that one real quick for us.
Yeah.
So we obviously, most of our staff is in and around our area. We actually have our office open now. We've put in a bunch of protocols, but we're not making it mandatory. People are allowed to come in if they want to, if they're not, based on comfort level.
Yep.
But we obviously have specific protocols coming in. So since we have about 65 employees, we have half on, half off every other week. Now, granted, since we didn't make it mandatory, most aren't coming in, so that's not really a problem. But we've had to install the plexiglass dividers across everything. We've got sanitation stuff everywhere. It'd be hard pressed to think of other places that are more prepared than what we are for this. And so we did it just to be safe, not knowing how long this would extend. But at this point, again, I don't see us making it mandatory anytime in the near future. I mean, this has really kind of shifted our focus a little bit too, in terms of reassessing, do we really need this much space? And so that's a whole nother,
right.
discussion.
So you're keeping an open mind. You sounds like you prefer to have a home base. You prefer to have a home if you think about family atmosphere. Yeah.
We'll always have some form of home base. I just don't know if it'll be the extent of the size that we have right now. So.
How about you, Dave? What you've got a much different scale problem, right? So, or issue, challenge.
But I'd say that we're still aiming to have offices open in our 4 main locations next year at some point. Whenever, I'd say things go back to normal, whatever it is. Working remote will stay optional. I think this has forced us to really rethink the way we're structured as a whole. I think it's given us more flexibility and not needing to necessarily map people to a region. More flexibility in hiring, so that'll definitely stay and maintain and give us, I think, some added value longer term. But I think, it'll be nice to have an office and have people coming in whenever they feel necessary or want to. And I think getting some of that energy back. I think it's very much like Adam was mentioning. We have very familial vibes across our offices, very very close knit. And the energy is great. So as much as we can get back to that, that'd be great. But I think we've also operated fine in the absence of it. So nothing mandatory, but that's the hope for sure. We'll be able to see each other and get that energy and that missing connection that we can't get virtually.
Well, it sounds like, the decision to have to go virtual was like on a dime. It sounds like you may have a different glide path on the way back in, and you'd be able to kind of do things and sort of watch it evolve and be open-minded. So again, I think a lot of other agency, managers and owners or agency workers are kind of listening to this and sort of thinking about what does next year look for them. So with the last couple of minutes we've got remaining, I just want to kind of sort of tap into your deepest, darkest fears. What keeps you up at night? And I don't mean to say it that way, but just not even talking about fears, but what are some of the things you see on the horizon that are going to change the world of SEO and change the world of PPC? What are some of the big shifts from 2020 that you see coming into 2021 that you think you need to spend a little bit more time sort of massaging, working with, or freaking out about, whatever the case may be? Well, good, Dave, why don't you go ahead and take this one?
Sure. So I'd say in the world of paid search, I don't know, I'd say like there's random nightmares keeping me up at night. Not that there's nothing scary coming. I'd say that definitely data privacy is something that's changing.
Oh, sure.
That's, I think going to change the way that we have to work. I think in the search world, we'll be far less impacted by that because we've only really had audience data to bid on for, call it, maybe 4 or 5 years, and the incremental value of it is there. But it's also, in the absence of it, search has always been very effective because it's such a demand-driven medium. So I think that will have a more dramatic shift on the industry. But I think thinking more holistically, I think Amazon doesn't scare us because we do stuff there as we bid there as well. I think Google's made some good pivots to retain shoppers or try and grow regrow their share of shopping. So I don't know if there's any underlying fears aside from data privacy stuff, which ultimately is very philosophical, and I'm a firm believer that people should have control of their data and that's not necessary to have so much data to be effective marketers. So I think there's a middle ground that'll be found between, call it GDPR and CCPA, and what the rest of America looks like from a marketing perspective. So I think that shift will happen gradually. I don't think it's going to be dramatic. I think ultimately it'll be done whatever is in the best interest of consumers, which I don't think will hurt us too much as search marketers.
Yeah, I think from a competitive standpoint, everyone's got to play by the same rules. So, there's no one that's going to grab an advantage that way. But certainly, if you can, if you've become over reliant or sort of really, really needed to work with the various cookie data, then yeah, you've got to find some new ways to let get permission
Absolutely.
to keep marketing. What was it? What was it? Somebody said it's not marketing, it's humaning. We're humaning. Come on. What's this word, humaning?
I've never heard of that one.
It was Brian Garvin put it on he put it on Twitter the other day, and I just had to laugh. You couldn't think of a more robotic way to refer to a human.
Yeah. No.
But anyway, well, good luck with that. So, what do you think?
So I think from the SEO side of things, it's a little bit different. While everything David mentioned is true, I think it's a little bit different on the SEO side in the sense that I think one of the biggest concerns that most have is the fact that with the last couple of years, Google's ad revenues have somewhat declined, and so they're trying to do everything that they can to try to get those ad revenues back up. And to David's advantage, they're trying to siphon off as much organic as they possibly can to try to push more to the paid side of things. And so, we've seen organic click-through rates decline each of the last several years. And so from our perspective, it's a matter of being more strategic on our approach, using more data-driven kind of methodologies to kind of define what is working and what's not, so that we aren't always going up against, 4 ads, the Google My Business or the People Also Ask or the featured snippets or whatever it is that Google's doing to try to keep people on Google properties versus organic properties. We have to kind of take a more systematic approach to try to get more visitors kind of continuing to go, to the organic channels. So
more evolution rather than specific disruptive event. All right, so I'm going to give you each one last final Jeopardy question here. You don't have to answer it as a form of a question, but I'll give you the question, and I'm going to thank our sponsor again. Give you a couple seconds to give us your best answer. But if you were sitting at a bar or a coffee place, whatever, having a conversation with a friend that's also an agency owner, what's the one bit of advice that you would tell them to make sure that they do this year? What's the most important thing that to you as an agency manager to help them guarantee their success? So I'm going to give you a chance to, and you can answer that any way you want, of course, but just wanted one big tip. So I'm going to thank our sponsor. So once again, folks out there, as our 2 outstanding award winners, and I think you got a good opportunity to understand why they're award winners. The leadership they're showing and how they manage their people and their agencies and their marketplaces is quite good. And we want to thank Microsoft for its leadership in pushing forward this industry and to sponsor, the best of the best in the Search Engine Land Awards. And now, Dude, ball. Okay, we'll go with Adam.
All right. So I think the number one thing, it's kind of a 3-part component, but it's really focusing on the client experience.
You should run for Congress. I like this. One answer, 3 components. I like it.
It's really focusing on the client experience. And so, you've got to really make sure that you focus on how can you show value and manage the client expectations. Those are the key components. If you're able to show value, manage expectations, and communicate with your clients, you're going to keep your clients. I mean, that's the whole game. And so one of the quick, to be quick, one of the things that we've kind of really focused in on, there's a great book that I would recommend to other agency owners to think about reading, that kind of reinforced my thinking of that whole client experience, and that's Never Lose a Customer Again. And it completely changed my process, and we've actually utilized that to kind of rebuild our entire client experience from start to finish.
That's beautiful. That's great. Thank you. David, what's your bar room or coffee room tip?
I think it's definitely along similar ethos. It's definitely focusing on what's coming for sure. So I think placing smart strategic bets and emerging opportunities in different avenues. So, search is expanding beyond Google into different channels. So I think, making sure that clients are focused on where there is incremental opportunities to align themselves there. And then I think, don't make your problem the client's problem. And also give them what they need. Now what do you think they need? Now what you want to sell them. So I'd say very much, again, focus on what the clients are actually, what's going to give them what they need versus trying to make a buck, because the longer term view is what's going to set you up for success beyond 2021. So those three for sure.
Well, terrific. I want to thank you both and congratulate you both. There was stiff competition this year. You guys rose. You're the cream of the crop. I bet your clients are happy to know that they're working with an agency that is at the leadership of their industry. That's gotta help you a little bit. And with that, I will say thank you and good afternoon.
Thanks, Matt.